Good day, everybody. Welcome to another session of our virtual learning pedagogy course. We are starting week 2. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We started this last week, Saturday, and the first week we touched on teaching and learning online, which was led by two experts, Jane Moore and Jenny Aman. And it was really a big time having all of you that you're joining us coming on to the platform to look at the materials, answer questions, and all that. So thank you very much for joining us. Now, I want you to do something right now. Post on the chat beside you, on the live chat on the YouTube beside you, post briefly about week 1 learning. What are your quick reflections, brief about it? Post it on the YouTube chat. Then don't forget to celebrate our facilitators. They've really put a whole lot of things into this to get us here. Now, for those that have been having maybe issues, they have not been able to enter into week 1 early. Week 1 is still available. It's actually going to be available throughout the course. So you can actually join. If you have anyone that's still yet to join, they can actually join us. We have a forum for information sharing. You can always go to forum at coderina.net now to get every kind of information about this course and other courses that Coderina Foundation is actually doing. We're doing things for teachers, we're doing things for younger learners, coding, robotics, and all that. So you could find your way to forum.coderina.net where you get information on the go. Then please don't forget to subscribe to the Coderina YouTube channel that you are on right now. Then if you are having any issue whatsoever, perhaps you've actually gone to bit.ly/learnpedagogy, you've registered there, but you've not been able to enroll, just send an email to hello@coderina.org. hello@coderina.org is going to be made available on the chat platform beside you, so that you will just send an email. If you have not been confirmed into the platform, you can just send an email and say, put your email address, your name, and just say you want to be confirmed. You've actually registered, and that will be treated promptly. So today we're having some wonderful facilitators already with us. So I'm going to quickly bring them on right now. So you know Jane Moore. Jane.
Hi, everyone.
Then we have Ishan.
Hi there.
Then we have Apostolus, AK, call him AK.
Hi, everyone.
And we have Shei also joining us. So all of them would be facilitating at one point or the other. That's Shei. So we are going to start the facilitation shortly right now. Okay, sorry. So the first person I'm going to bring on the platform is Jane Moore. She's not new to us again. She was there when we started last week, and she's the director of Merlot. Merlot, where you're going to be hearing so much about Merlot this week. So hook on, and you're going to learn so much about it. So I'm going to bring her on right now to start our presentation. Thank you. So Jane.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be back with you again this week, and I wanted to share some information about Merlot. The first thing I want to do is tell you a little bit about myself. I have been with Merlot since 2002. Merlot began in 1997 as a way for educators to share online materials that they had available to them. And it just blossomed. And now when you go to Merlot, you will see that we have members in 185 countries around the world. We have hundreds of thousands of members and many, many materials for you to use. My background is that I taught elementary school grades K through 8 for 27 years, and then began teaching teachers at the university level. And I started teaching online back in 2002 and taught online classes until 2018. The exciting thing for me is to be able to teach again in this particular course. So I urge you to watch the YouTube video about Merlot that I posted on the Codarina site. I think that you'll find that it walks you through Merlot very quickly and very easily. So what is Merlot? First of all, Merlot stands for Multimedia Educational Resource for Learning and Online Teaching. Why is it named after some wine? Well, because it originated in the California State University system, and that is in wine country. So you'll find that there are lots of wine-related items in Merlot. So Merlot is an online collection of materials. You might want to think about it as an online library of materials for educators and students. As I said earlier, we have a community of educators from 185 countries, over 172,000 members. And it's a place to search for and create materials for teaching and learning. The important thing for me is that membership in Merlot is free. All you need to do is go to merlot.org, sign up, and you're a member, and then as a member you can use many of the extras that I'll tell you about in a few minutes. But most of the materials that you find in Merlot are free to use unless it's indicated otherwise. In some cases, they're materials that do have a cost associated with them, but there's a free aspect to it that you can use without any payment. So, what do you do when you get to Merlot? Well, we have something we call Smart Search. And in Smart Search, you can put in a topic or a person's name, and you can search for materials. Now, the cool thing about Smart Search is that in addition to searching in Merlot, you can also search in other web libraries as well as on the web itself. We have what we like to say is a secret formula that we put in that leads you to education-related materials on the web for that aspect of the search, rather than just a web search where you get all sorts of things. Also, one of the really nice things about our new Smart Search is that you can search by an ISBN number on a textbook. So supposing that you have a textbook you use, but you don't want your students to have to spend the money for the textbook, well, you put in the ISBN number and you'll get related materials that come up in your search. You can also search for members from your particular institution or in your particular area, which might be helpful in finding a cohort of people to work with as time goes on. So Merlot Smart Search is a great place for you to start. So when I did a search, and there are two pictures here, you may not recognize that, but the first one is that I searched for math methods, which was a course that I used to teach to people who wanted to be teachers, how to teach mathematics. And you can see up at the top, and I think you can see my pointer, there's the Merlot collection, and in the Merlot collection, there were 374 materials. I could narrow it down if I wanted to. I could look in other libraries, or I could search on the web. Then down here is where I chose one particular material, which was on how to teach multiplication, which anyone in the primary grades who has tried to do this know is not an easy thing. Under multiplying methods, you can see that this material came up early in the search because it had a peer review. Merlot has 22 editorial boards, and those are comprised of volunteers from higher education who review the material and then post those reviews on the web. The review is not done simply by one person, it's actually done by 3. So you get a very broad look from someone in that particular discipline. In addition, in Merlot, we also have user ratings, and that is anyone who's a member of Merlot can add a user rating, and you can also add comments. In addition to that, some materials may have learning exercises, which are helpful to you as an educator, and you can just use that learning exercise in your classroom. Again, you can create a bookmark collection, and a bookmark collection allows you to aggregate several resources that you find will help for you in a course. It will have a unique URL that then you can give to your students. You can do a course e-portfolio and include all the materials for your course there. And as well, you can get some accessibility information if the person who put the item in Merlot has included that. So if I search for math methods, I got 374 results in Merlot. I get 100 results in other digital libraries and 100 results on the web using the Merlot criteria. So it would be impossible to say that you can't find anything to use in your course. At least I believe so. So what are peer reviews? Well, peer reviews tell the person who's searching for materials what type of material it is. Is it a drill and practice? Is it a course module? Is it an animation? Is it a video? Whatever. Then it also will note the recommended uses. Is it something for individuals to use, something for a class? What are the technical requirements, which of course are important if you know what your particular platform can handle. As well, we have the learning goals. What's the target student population? What are prerequisites for students to have before they use this content? Then we review the material on 3 main points: content quality, potential effectiveness as a teaching tool, and ease of use for students and faculty. And let me just say a little bit about each of those. Especially in the sciences, we want to look for how up-to-date a material is. That comes under content quality. We want to think about how effective this would be as a teaching tool. And here a reviewer might say something like, this would be great to use with a small group, but it might not be as effective using it with a whole class. Finally, the ease of use. Sometimes you find a material online that's wonderful and it has lots of links to other materials. And if you aren't able to link back, sometimes you lose your online students. They just get caught in that web of URLs and never come back. It's good to know if a material is like that. So a peer review would handle some information like that for you. So what's a bookmark collection? Well, a bookmark collection is where you go through materials on Merlot and you select ones that are particularly appropriate for you. When I was teaching math methods, I had a bookmark collection with the National Library of Virtual Manipulatives, which I adore, the Soder Educational Foundation. I'm looking off to the side because I have a big screen there. Miss Lindquist, who is an algebra tutor, the Math Forum, Khan Academy, and numbers from 1 to 31. I used all those materials in my class, and so I kept them in one place in Merlot. What's even neater about the bookmark collection is that somebody can look at your bookmark collection and say, wow, I love all those sites. You can copy that person's collection and make it your own and add to it if you like, or delete from it. You can also have your students create their own collections. And especially for those of you who are teaching at people who are going to be teachers, you can have them create a collection for their student teaching experience. So what happens if you can't find what you need in Merlot? Well, we have an answer to that too. It's called the Content Builder. And the Content Builder allows you to create a website free that is hosted on Merlot. You can build your site, and we have quite a few templates that you can use, so you're not starting from scratch. You can add your own Creative Commons license. You can keep your site private and just give the URL to your students, or you can add to the Merlot collection so that another educator might be able to use it in their own practice. You can share it with your students. The Content Builder is just a wonderful way for you to build something that's unique to your particular classroom or educational discipline that is just what you need. So to sort of recap, what are the things that I love about Merlot? Well, first of all, it's free, and that makes a huge difference to both you and to your students. Secondly, there are many, many ways to find materials in Merlot. You can search by topic. You can search by an ISBN number. You can search through bookmark collections. Third, there are those wonderful reviews. When you search in Merlot, the first things that come up in Merlot are the things that have had peer reviews. So they are the ones that you can get the most information about. And those reviews can tell you a lot about not only the material, but how to use the material in your practice. Then, of course, there's the bookmark collection. And the bookmark collections allow you to aggregate the things that are most useful to you in one place that you can easily access. And finally, if you don't find what you need in Merlot or in other digital libraries or on the web using the Merlot formula, then you can build your own page. It will stay in Merlot. You can add multiple pages. There's no restriction in terms of how many pages you can build. You can do one for each class you teach. And then with that, you can add that material to Merlot so it's available for other people. So please do, over the course of this week, look at the video on Merlot, explore Merlot on your own, and you have an assignment for me, which is to find one material in Merlot that you can use in your particular situation and describe how you would use it. So thank you so much for being with us, and I hope that if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end.
Wow, that was really, really great by Jane. So I believe that we're going to give Jane a clap on the chat box already, because this is really fantastic. They've actually given a lowdown of Merlot from all through it. So, and they're just going to have the materials as a compliment for them, and they'll just try to get their hands on it. So thank you, Jane, for really doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm going to be bringing on Ishan right now. Ishan is the Associate Director of Systems at the University of Waterloo in Canada. Ishan Abewadena was formerly Commonwealth of Learning, and now is where he loves most to really do the research. So you're welcome, Ishan.
Thank you, John. Let me share my screen.
All right, go ahead.
Bring up my PowerPoint here.
Okay.
Screen sharing, entire screen shared here. Oh. Okay, let me try that again.
Okay, yeah, I'll be waiting.
Okay, can you see that now?
Yes, I think. All right. So I'll be off for you to continue that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so hope everyone can see this. My name is Ishan Abevadana. Thank you to Codrina for inviting me to do this. John, are you able to see the slides now? Yes, I think you can see the slides
Yes, exactly. We
coming
can
up.
see it. Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thanks to Codrina and to John for inviting me to participate in this exciting new initiative. So I work for the University of Waterloo Center for Extended Learning, which develops all the e-learning content and courses for the University of Waterloo. I lead the systems team. My team develops all the technology which drives the e-learning at University of Waterloo. So each term we deliver on average 600 to 1,000 online courses, and with COVID-19 the whole university has gone online, so it's a very busy time for us. So I thought I would speak to you about using virtual reality or building virtual reality learning objects for your content based on this week's topic. Virtual reality is fast becoming a hot topic because of the COVID situation and people going online mainly for their teaching and learning. So I thought I'd introduce DIY or do-it-yourself virtual reality, which teachers can build themselves very easily using free and open source software and incorporate those into their e-learning content. So let's see what we have today. As for quite a bit of time now, virtual reality and augmented reality has been exploding. There has been a lot of new 360 videos being introduced into YouTube. If you look for 360 videos, you will find a lot of information from Nat Geo and Discovery and NASA and things like that. A lot of international organizations such as UNESCO, the Commonwealth of Learning, UN have expressed a lot of interest in using AVR for various things, for history, for culture, and especially for teaching. There is a lot of interest in using AVR for medicine, for therapy, for simulation, for engineering, for mining, and things like that. So this is a very hot area, and more teachers are going into this. But one of the issues is, it takes a lot of time. You require a lot of money to do this. How does a teacher get into this, at a smaller scale? So that's something I want to discuss today, and you will go through around 5 or 6 activities in the learning management system under section 2, where you will learn to build a virtual reality experience, a solar system or a planetarium from scratch. So by the end of the sessions, all the activities, you would have built your own planetarium as a virtual reality simulation, and you can include that in your e-learning content. So I'm going to talk to you more about browser-based virtual reality today, because it's yeah, let me go into the next slide. So if you look at the virtual reality goggles, I mean, there are a lot of tech out there, and some of these are very expensive. The Oculus Rifts, the Microsoft HoloLens, all of those are very expensive pieces of kit, and it becomes very daunting for institutions, individuals to use this technology to promote AVR. Even universities, even big universities like Waterloo in Canada, are finding it very difficult to promote AVR in that manner. And also, if you look at it, even if you use something like Google Cardboard, which is much cheaper, and you can download the blueprints open source and build it yourself, it's a lot of work to bring it out, put your phone in, switch on your VR, and then go through it, and have this headset on your eyes the whole time. People will do it once or twice, but after that, they forget about it. I have a few VR goggles lying around which we never use, because it's too much work to get it up and running. So that's where that's where browser-based virtual reality comes into place. It's the virtual reality interactions are done through a web browser, so it's basically instant access and easy integration with your e-learning content, your LMS, or whether you're using PowerPoint or Google Docs. It's cross-platform, so regardless of whether you are using a Linux machine, Mac, or a Windows, or a Android phone, it doesn't matter. It works on the browser, so anyone can open up a browser and it starts working. And many browsers are integrating compatibility for virtual reality right now. So browsers work seamlessly with VR, and obviously it's faster, cheaper development. You don't need any goggles or anything to run these virtual reality simulations. You can build it yourself through open source software, and it's very easy to do that. And going through the exercises on the LMS, you will learn how to get into it. But before that, I wanted to go in and show you a few simulations that I've created, just to get you interested and show you what kind of things you can do with browser-based AVR, and also how easy it is to develop really rich experiences through platforms like this. So I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint right now, and I'm going to try and share a few YouTube videos. So let's see whether this works. Okay. Screen. Okay. Right. Okay, so John, can you see the video?
Yes, it can be seen. It's clear. Yeah, so you can play.
Today, I'm going to talk about why I believe augmented reality is the next big thing, but it has to be browser-based to reach the masses. So here I have a do-it-yourself AR stick or rig or pointer, whatever you want to call it. It's wireless, as you can see, and I will use this to demonstrate how you can use browser-based AR in your classroom. So going into my simulation, this is a simulation of an internal combustion engine, and the learner can have a look at it in real time and rotate it around, as you can see, using that very sophisticated rig I used inside the classroom. So you can see that there is immense potential for this sort of technology to bring reality into the classroom. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that was the first one I wanted to show. Let me try and see whether I can share another very interesting one. So this one is also virtual reality, augmented reality. As you can see, this is my desk at the office. And let's see whether we can get that to work. So I'm putting a AR marker on my desk and using a mobile phone there to trigger the augmented reality simulation. And as you can see, there is a dancing man on my desk right now. So all of these are built using an open source platform called AFrame VR by the Mozilla Foundation, and they have made it really simple for coders to or novice programmers to build AVR simulations using HTML and JavaScript. So I know that Coderina is big into coding, so the audience should really appreciate being able to build these AVR applications using HTML and JavaScript. So I have a couple of more to show you. So let's go into the next one. So this one is basically putting augmented
talksvr.com. I have been building my Iron Man suit over the past couple of days, and today I got my arc reactor and my repulsor to work. I'm not going to show you the arc reactor today, but I'm going to show you the repulsor. So here it goes. So it charges up and fires. It charges up and fires. I'm still working on the sound effect. So when I get that working, I'll show that along with the arc reactor. So keep following.
After
Okay, so I have one last simulation that I want to show you before we move on. And this is something that you will be creating during your sessions in the learning management system. If you follow the activities from start to finish, you will be able to create a planetarium similar to the one I'm going to show you right now, completely animated. So this is basically a spaceship going through the solar system. And all of this simulation is built using AFrame VR and open source technologies. And by going through the activities in the learning management system, at the end of all of that, you will be able to build something like this as well, or you will be building something like this as well. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, to summarize, you will be using. Let me share my screen once again. Say application window. Okay. Right. So I'm hoping you can see my screen. So all of those VR simulations are available on ishantalksvr.com if you want to go and explore a little bit further. I think I've put the link in the learning management system site. But I wanted to quickly wrap up with introducing you to Glitch. Glitch is a very friendly community-based coding platform which you can use to build AVR projects and any other applications you want as well. The good thing about Glitch is it kind of goes down the OER route. I mean, we learned about Merlot earlier, so here also you can mix and match codes from all the other users on Glitch, so you can reuse them, revise them, remix them, redistribute them under those licenses. So it's a really great platform to work on. You will be introduced to this platform as we go on with the activities during the week. And the last thing I wanted to show you was the Mozilla AFrame platform for virtual and augmented reality. This is a great open source platform which allows you to do a lot of things in augmented and virtual reality just using HTML5 and JavaScript. So if you are not a very experienced programmer, no problem. Glitch and AFrame have come together to create this amazing partnership which allows you to rapidly develop virtual reality and augmented reality simulations using the browser. So I think that concludes my time over here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And John, over to you. I'll be happy to answer any questions later on.
Wow, this is really, really odd, like Jane said. Thank you, Ishan, for really bringing up this. It is really very interesting, and I know a whole lot of teachers are start to look at what are the possibilities that this will really afford them in their classroom to get students hands-on on a whole lot of subjects. So thank you very much for presenting this. And all of these are already on the learning management system that we have on the Coderina Learning Portal. So you're going to have a nice time through it this week. Thank you, Ishan, for coming around. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, so I'll be bringing up shortly Apostolus. Apostolus Kostopoulos is the online program manager, applied linguistics, University of Massachusetts in the States. So thank you, Apostolus, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Exactly. So yeah, you can actually start to talk while I share your screen.
Excellent.
Share your slides.
So I think I had like a quadruple epic fail earlier today while trying to share my own screen. So thank you, John, for doing the screen sharing. My full name is on the screen. I go by AK. So please feel free to call me AK. You can also find me on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle right there. Next slide, please. And if you're following along in the YouTube, I've shared the link to the presentation as well. So if you want to open up another window and follow along there as well, you can do that as well. Yes.
What you can actually go ahead talking. I'm having an issue with your slide here, so if you have something beside you, you can actually go ahead. So let me sort it out quickly.
All right. So let me update the permissions there. Because I'm not seeing all the slides. I'm only seeing a slide, which is odd. I'll check in the chat on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and you're hearing me now, I shared a link, and if you can click on that, you should be able to see my presentation. Yes, as Jane says, the joys of technology. It's one of my. There we go.
I think you can go ahead. You can go ahead with yours. Since your presentation is on right now.
Excellent. So what I'm seeing is a quick medley of learning tools. So I was trying to wrap my head around this week and VLP broadly. And what helps me break learning modules down is thinking about how to organize them. What end goal do I want to reach? So I looked at BlendKit Chapter 4, and I saw that they put it really nice and succinctly there. So your content and your activities equals your modules. So that's how I broke this down. So this week, what I wanted to share with you are some things that you may have come across before. And those are learning goals and learning objectives, universal design for learning, and the sections model. And I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. Don't worry if you miss anything, because everything is on Moodle. And I'll be there all week and beyond to help answer any questions. So if we go to the next slide, so looking at learning objectives. One more, John. Thank you. This is the visual that I think of when I think of breaking things down. You have things like course goals, And then you have things like, then those break down to learning objectives, and then learning objectives help you organize the content and the activities that become your learning module. This is a really simplified view, so one learning objective per learning module or learning object, but you could have multiple learning objectives per module, which is actually the case this week in VLP. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what are goals? Goals are deliberately broad. So your course in its totality may only have 3 or 4 goals, but those will break down to many objectives. So if we take this week as an example, we can say that the goal for learners in the VLP will be to build their own learning object. Okay, how do we get there? That's where the learning objectives come in. Next slide, please. So learning objectives are much more specific, and typically I think of them in the ABCD method, the audience, behavior, condition, and degree. So if we come into a really basic goal, learners in the VLP will list 2 examples for each UDL category in the learning object that they create, with 80% accuracy. This is really basic, maybe something like a checklist type thing. A more advanced objective, thinking of a different level of Bloom's taxonomy, would be learners in the VLP will be able to select an OER, maybe from Merlot, for their learning object using the UDL principles. So what is UDL? Okay, so Universal Design for Learning is what UDL stands for. And it's based on cognitive neuroscience. And the broad idea is that neuroscience tells us that there are 3 broad networks in our brains. The affective network, which tends to tie into the why of learning. The recognition network, which tends to tie into the what of learning, and the strategic networks, which tend to connect to the how of learning. And the idea here is to provide multiple representations for our learners. So multiple representations can mean giving our learners choices on how they explore the topic. So in Moodle, for example, I've given you a few different means to explore this week. So if you're actually familiar with learning objectives, you can skip that and go to UDL. If you're familiar with UDL, you can go to sections and so on. So other things that go in with multiple representations are things like providing different means of accessing the material. So not just text, but text and images, or text and video, or augmented reality, or virtual reality, and so on. That right there is the core of UDL, multiple representations. And the next and final thing that I want to address is the sections model, which is something that Tony Bates, one of the academics from Canada, has developed. And sections is an acronym which stands for students, ease of use, cost, teaching functions and affordances, interaction, organizational issues, network, and security and privacy. So all these are different dimensions for picking a technology or technologies to use in your learning module. So you'll get much more in depth with this once you look at the Moodle for this week. But just to give you an example for students, for the student section, do your students have access to the technology? So if I ask you to go out there and start doing photos of your surrounding environment, do all of your smartphones, assuming that you all have smartphones, have the type of camera that I would expect in my assignment. Or if you have different types of institutional policies that govern the use of technology and how students use them. So if every student is expected or given a laptop at school, then you can expect learners to have that basic piece of technology. Or if schools have computer labs, you can expect students to have access to what you're asking them to do. Before I wrap up, I do want to highlight that last part, the security and privacy. Security and privacy is really important, and it actually has become a very touchy point, even more now that we are remote, because we are putting our data and our students' data in the hands of companies that we don't know what they're doing. So safeguarding our students' privacy and our students' data should be something that we should take really seriously when we're selecting different technologies for our classrooms. And with that, I'd like to say thank you. I know it was really, really quick through 3 very important topics, but feel free to explore on Moodle. I have a forum with your aha moments. In terms of assessments, I like reading and exploring what you thought was awesome, what was new to you, what made a big impression. So explore in any path you would like, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, AK, for that presentation. Yeah, though it looks quick, but there's a whole lot of things embedded in it. And I know by the time they get onto the learning portal, they're going to see how the different shades and parts of it and why it is really, really important. So thank you, AK, for doing the presentation. So, and I know some of them would probably have some questions that you can actually use to buttress after the last presenter presents. So I'm going to bring the other presenter on right now. Yeah, so so we are having Sheyi Oshwade. That's an associate. You're welcome, sir. That's the associate professor from University of Ibadan. He was formerly the director of information technology and media services at the university. So you're welcome to do your presentation.
Thank you very much. I've shared my screen, the first screen. Good afternoon, everyone.
Sorry, we can't see what you're sharing. So it's already on it, but we can't actually see the presentation on it.
Let me see screen sharing.
All right.
Okay, sorry. Okay, it's asking me to select.
Okay.
Window. Okay, entire screen. Allow. Are you seeing anything?
Not yet. Okay, maybe it's going to come up back right now. Yeah, I have one more of your screen, but it's not bringing up the presentation there. Okay, so while you get that sorted out, maybe you drop the link of the file so that we can actually share it from here.
Okay, my browser is blocking the screen.
Yeah, okay. we're okay.
We are seeing this to you now while I
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, please just check your email now.
All right, go ahead. Okay. So you can actually start to present while I sort that out.
All right, okay. Okay, so I'll be talking about learning objects and as building blocks for whatever you do. I'm speaking with the background from teachers who are already used to teaching from, with the lesson plan or what we call lesson notes, where you have your daily or your weekly lectures included. So what we're looking at is how do you transform from someone using a lesson plan to somebody working with learning objects that are actually digital based and web based. So first of all, a learning object is a resource that you're using to transfer or you're using to um, promote a particular idea or knowledge. It is usually digital and web based, and we can also see that you can use virtual reality to try and teach or train people. So, and you can use this same resource back, over time. Just like the lesson plan, also that you use to break down your curriculum into small teachable parts, you're able to take that and move on, in teaching your class. So it guides you as to what to do. So when we talk about learning objects, there are about 8 things that you need to include within your learning objects to be able to assist or help you in teaching. You need a title. Your title must, can be general or broad. For instance, you can talk about you want to write a presentation letter in Microsoft Word. You want to teach someone how to write a presentation letter in Word. That's the title. But you also need a subtitle, which is the second thing you need, is you need to specify how you're going to introduce yourself. So the subtitle now tells us what aspect of the presentation are you focusing on. So if I'm talking about presentation in using Microsoft Word, I will now be talking about how do I do the introduction. That is, for this topic, for this classwork, I'm talking about introducing myself. And then we move on to the third thing, which is the training purpose, which AK talked about, which is the learning goal and objectives. Why are you doing this training? Or why are you trying to teach? Or what do you want your learner to learn by interacting with this material? So you must be specific with your purpose, and it's that purpose that will drive you into your content, into what you're actually going to provide your learners. But before you get to your content, you need to give us an index or steps. How do you want to go about your learning? Is it going to be interactive? Is it going to be quiz based? Is it going to be knowledge based? You have to tell us as teachers in education, for teachers with an educational background, there's what we call the Bloom's taxonomy. At what level of that taxonomy are you going to be presenting your material? Are you going to talk about just getting knowledge, or you want to try and transform behavior, or you want them to be able to apply that knowledge? So you need to indicate in which direction you're going, and then we have what we call a logical map. The logical map is going to try and give us a visual representation of how you expect the learning process to go. That is, after you finish this material, I'm on slide 3. Thank you, John. I'm on slide 3. So if you move to the content is where you actually present your information. And then that is what you do either in a deductive format or in an inductive format. That is, do you allow the learner to extract the information themselves, or do you give them the building materials and expect them to come out with what you want at the end of the day. So when you're talking about content, you're referring to the actual knowledge, the actual content, the actual knowledge that you want to pass across. And that will determine to a large extent how you're going to move with your knowledge. In the next, so then we have what you call the evaluation. Evaluation is the self-test and the final test. The self-test is for the learner to examine himself at his own leisure time, whether he is able to gain the expected knowledge. And the final test is what you examine. Those are the things. So your self-test could be like activities that we give to you, self-quiz that we don't grade, and then the final test is you grade, what you grade the learner with, as part of the continuous assessment or part of the final mark for graduating from that period. Now, on the next slide, I show you a sample of what a predefined learning object is. This is just one slideshot. It's an interactive interface. But what you will see is that you on the top part of this image, you see level 1, you see food chains. Food chains refers to the title of this learning object. The wetlands is the subtitle. And then you have the activity that you want the learner to learn. You're trying to get them to understand the food chain. And then based on what interactions you have given to them in class, you're trying to tell them what comes after the sun. And then you have a place where they can interact with the material. So if someone puts in maybe the fish in the next button where you have the question mark on those 4 circles at the bottom, and if that is the wrong answer, you're able to use that method to teach and say what comes before the fish, or why is the fish coming before the plants on the stream. So this gives you an idea that this content was built to interact, and it's built to follow a particular sequence, and that you have to move from here. There's another slide that's going to show you whether you actually made it or you did not make it. So this is an example, just a rough estimate of what a learning object will eventually look like. Now, on creating your own learning objects, it has been talked about using Merlot, which is using a repository, and then WebVR, which is also something I'm just meeting for the first time. I thank the presenter. For learning objects, for somebody transiting from the lesson plan, you already have your notes either on paper or you have PowerPoint slides. These are some of the things that you can take and then use as the basis for working in any of these environments to develop your own learning objects. Merlot, as she said, is free, and some of these things you can do gradually. When you're developing content, what you put within your learning object, you can be specific about where it operates. For instance, you can say something only works in the rainforest, or it works only in the desert, and under these conditions, and so on. That's been context specific, so that the users of that learning object will only be those within, or only those to which that context is applicable. But most times you're advised to make it context free, so that anybody picking it up anywhere in the world can use your learning object. But the choice is up to you to decide your context of your operation. So your learning objects can be HTML files, it can be PDF, can be guides, films, Microsoft Word files, PowerPoint files. But we would see that the interaction now, the idea now is to move towards interactive content, where you can connect with your material and you can come back. And so that's where places like WebVR will come into place, where you have interactive simulations and you're able to learn in the process of actually reading. So as as I round up, for someone who has worked with some of these developing learning objects, the best ideas or the things that have come over the years to me is that you make them small. Don't try to teach something too big, within your learning object. Focus on just one aspect of something that is big. It's easy for you to create, and it's easy for you to quickly roll it out. Number two, try and make it context free. I prefer context free so that in any environment you find yourself, you're able to use it. Then two, know how your learning objects um, refer to other objects. In what priority? Are you a prerequisite? Do people need to know this learning object before they move to something higher? So you need to know which one comes before which one. And so you order your learning objects in the appropriate sequence. And then for a particular learning object, try and create multiple versions of the same thing, because if students engage with the same learning object over and over again, it becomes boring and they don't get engaged. But if for every time they get to your site or get to you where you have your resource located, they see something different that engages them, there's a tendency for them to learn more. So for those transiting from lesson plans to learning objects, yeah, I saw a number of comments in the introductions. That's why I decided to go this way. There's similarities, but now a number of those things have to be done on the system, which means as a teacher, you're going to be learning new skills. And it's those skills that will enable you to create that interaction between you and your students. As activity for this work, I've said, I want you to write out, a small learning object and then create it using either Merlot or WebVR. So it could be your own material or it could be something new. But the idea is that whatever we're teaching all works together. You can use Merlot, you can use WebVR, but like I said, make it small so that you are able to accomplish a learning object for a specific thing. So when you break it into small parts, it's easy for you to accomplish. So coming from there, like AK also showed us sections and so on, there's so many modules, so many methods for developing learning objects. But the main thing is, what is your purpose? How do you engage with your audience? And as teachers, I believe we are guided by our lesson plan. Our learning objects will also guide us to be able to create the best content for our own students. So as we progress in the course, I wish you all the best. And we're open for questions anytime. You can send through the presenter, through the coordinator, John. John? John? Hello, John?
Yeah. So, hello.
Okay.
You're rounding off, right?
Yes, I'm off now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you very much for that insightful presentation. And I'm going to bring the other speakers on the platform right now. Stop sharing this. So I'm going to bring on Jane, Ishan, and AK. So we have run out of time, but basically we've actually done a wonderful presentation today. So thank you very much. So on a final note, you've been on the chat and you've actually been seeing the questions that the participants have been posting. I want you to take it randomly. Which question would you want to respond to quickly? Just one. Yeah. So who's going to come in first? Jane.
Well, I don't see any questions right now in the chat.
Okay, fine. Then Ishan, AK, did you see any questions that people have actually posted that you might really want to respond to?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you for the questions. I have been trying to respond to them on the YouTube chat. I saw one or two questions about Scratch and resources. So I just wanted to let you know that John wrote a book on Scratch, which I edited, and that's available as a open resource as an OER. John, maybe you can share that with the participants. And also, if you want to do similarly mobile application development using the MIT App Inventor platform, then I had written a book on that as well. Perhaps John, you can share that. You were part of that initial training group as well for App Inventor. So I just wanted to add those two resources. My website link is posted, so anything else we can discuss on the LMS. Thank you.
Wow, that's beautiful. So AK, do you have anything to say?
I didn't see any questions in the chat, but that doesn't mean that you might not have questions as you go through the materials. So as questions come up, do post them in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye out. It's best to air the question and we can all learn together rather than not air it and then never know the answer.
That's very correct. So I think this is really a massive loadout week for people, and so many people are just getting introduced to some unique materials now. And on the learning portal, they will be able to see the materials in different shapes and sizes that have been presented and uploaded by our wonderful experts. So what I am going to tell the participants is that you just have one thing to do right now: diving into the Codania Learning Portal, where you have the week 2 materials already uploaded for you. And if you have any issue, it has actually been shared already. hello@coderina.org. If you have issues confirming your account on that platform, you might as well make sure that you send an email so that you can actually be logged on to the platform. So the platform is Learn. We'll put it on the chat. Learn.coderina.net. That's where we have the learning portal. Then make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and then we have a forum already on forum.coderina.net too. So now all of these things are provided. You're going to be seeing them on the chat for you to complement and to get along with you while you're learning this. This is going to be a really fantastic week, and I can't really wait to see how we all doing. So thank you all the experts for what you've actually done. Thank James, thank Ishan, thank AK, and thank Shay. And they will be waiting for you on the other end of the platform. So from me, I'll say bye to everyone today, and hope we'll see you on the learning portal. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.